You know, in 2015, over 30 shows opened on Broadway, musicals, plays. 3 years later, out of those 30, there are only 2 standing and running. One of them is a mega hit called Hamilton, and the other one is our wonderful, successful Waitress. So we are thrilled to be, thank you. We're thrilled to be in very, very good company. When Fran and I went to a movie in 2007 and saw this gem of an independent film entitled Waitress, there was something about that main character, Jenna, and Jenna's struggle through life, trying to find herself, pouring her poetry and her passion into pie making, trying to find a better life for herself. And it just spoke so musically to us. We went on this journey with Jenna, her searching for self-awareness, self-discovery, female empowerment on her way to motherhood. It just seemed to be the right theme and the right plot to musicalize. I contacted my Tony Award-winning director of Pippin, Diane Paulus. She agreed. What we needed was a special musical voice, something unique, something outside the usual Broadway fare. Enter Sara Bareilles. Well, this Grammy-nominated, unique, brilliant composer-lyricist was the one that we knew could musicalize this piece. And Sara came on board and wrote this score. Now, I would love you to hear the same music that Diane and I heard, which turned us on to the talent, the quality, the brilliance of Sara Bareilles. So without any further ado, the incomparable Sara Bareilles.
Friends, how's everyone doing? We've got our fans in the front, right? They always put you closest. It's such a joy to be here. I can't tell you, this is the dream of a lifetime that I never even knew was possible. The idea that we are bringing Waitress to the West End is beyond my wildest fantasies. So it is a great privilege that I get to be here today and to share some of the music of the show with you. But I thought I would contextualize myself because homegirl's getting old, and it's been a long time since I've had any songs on the radio. So this is the very first time I was out, introduced to the world, was a song I wrote as sort of a middle finger to my record label, and it was called Love Song, and it brought me to the UK for the first time in 2008. So if you happen to remember this song, please join me, but this is called Love Song.
What are some differences between writing for a musical versus writing for an album, and which one do you like doing more?
Ooh, thank you for that question. I think that the main difference is that songs for my records were always autobiographical, so the challenge was finding my way into the psychology of the characters that were further away from me. So writing for the abusive husband was someone that I had to kind of find a way into, and our goal was to really make these characters, it's one of the things that Adrienne Shelley did so beautifully, is they're all messy, and they're all human. They're all, there's no heroes and villains, it's just a bunch of people doing the best they can and making mistakes. So that was a a compassionate way to sort of enter into the world. But I think that's the biggest difference, is having to find your way into different characters. So as Jenna and Dr. Pomander get to know each other through the show, you see that what they really offer to each other is a sense of being seen. And I think both of them feel invisible in their lives, and it's this kind of beautiful offering that is about love, but it's more about showing that you matter to someone. So this song is comes late in the show, and it's called You Matter to Me.
They've seen things that you never quite say, but I hear, come out of hiding, I'm right here beside you, and I'll stay there as long as you let me, because you matter to me. Simple and plain, and not much to ask from somebody. You matter to me, I promise you do. You matter too, I promise you do. You'll see.
The next one is from Rachel, and she says, what was the first and last song you wrote for the musical? Well, we know what the first song was.
The first song was, yeah, She Used to Be Mine.
What song changed the most from its first draft? I mean, I can't imagine that you had to change that much. That's last song.
You'd be surprised. Oh, well, no, the first one actually came and sort of came quickly, and that one didn't change at all. The first demo of She Used to Be Mine is kind of what ended up existing in the show. The last song was the song that I worked on the entire time we were making the musical for years, and it was the opening number. I think I rewrote it, without exaggerating, I think at least 18 times. And there was a whole different song there originally, then I rewrote that a bunch of times, and then we tried a whole new song, and I rewrote that a bunch of times. And you should have seen the look on the cast members' face as I'm like, hey guys, we're just gonna make some revisions. And their brains are exploding, being like, which version of the song is this? So it was tragic, but we ended up getting there at the end, but it was a long process.
It's just one of the phenomenal things about being part of a new musical, though.
Had I known how hard and long I would work on this, I probably would have said no. But I'm so happy I didn't. But really, when I said yes to doing this, I was like, I don't even know. I couldn't even have imagined what the process would look like. It wasn't even that I was like, oh, this will be easy. I just didn't, bless you, I just didn't really think that far out. And so if I had known it would be the rest of my life, I would have been too intimidated, but I'm glad I didn't know enough to say no. Let's get weird.
Okay, let's
get weird, London. So we're gonna, Gavin will be stepping into the shoes of Dr. Pomander, who is the love interest of Jenna, our lead character. And he is a gynecologist that moves to the area, and she's pregnant. You do the math. So it's a lot of fun, and they both realize that this is a very bad idea. And this is them acknowledging that in song form, which is what musicals do.
Oh, I just looked at the pianist. Like,
yeah, there's nobody.
Oh!
bad idea, me and you.
It's a bad idea, me and you. I've never known anything so true. It's a terrible idea, me and you.
You have a wife.
How does it feel to be part of an all-girl creative team?
It's hashtag girl power. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I can't believe sometimes that it's the first time it's happened, you know. I think that in some ways is sort of sad, but I'm so excited that we get to be an example of an all-female creative team for all those young songwriters, composers, lyricists, directors, choreographers, book writers, like all those people that want, all those young women that want to see themselves in these positions, just get to see another example of how it happened.
It's a bad idea, me and you. It's a bad idea, me and you. It's hold me close, but I think it's true. It's a terrible idea, me and you.
The show, 2.5 years on Broadway. Did you ever expect it to last that long and to come to the West End?
No, I can't believe. I mean, when we launched our national tour, I was over the moon about that, and then when we finally got to come to London, we have been hoping and praying for this to work out. So this feels like Christmas morning.
Have you heard of the Great British Bake
Of
Off?
course, who hasn't, right?
So if you were on that show, what pie would you cook?
I would have to cook the only pie I know how to make, which is a blackberry pie that I used to make with my sisters and my mom growing up. We had all these wild blackberry bushes that grew outside our house, so we would go get big silver bowls full of the blackberries, and it's just simple enough where I don't think I can screw it up. And I think, blackberry pie. That's what it would
And
be.
maybe a cookbook coming out soon then?
Cookbook with the one thing I know how to make. It's just that one page. It's really
Pie
short.
for all times of the
Right.
day. Are you making any changes bringing the show to the West End? Because the West End audiences are a bit more reserved than maybe American audiences.
Well, I think, every time we open up the show to a rehearsal process, there's little tinkering and changes. I think the goal is to, create a show that honors what was made on the New York stage, but Diane is a very creative and really intelligent director who is of course going to take in what's around us and our surroundings, and also depending on who our cast is, which we don't know anything about yet. Next question. Well, I think this show really has something for everyone. I think one thing people don't always know about the show is that it's really funny. We took great care. Jessie Nelson wrote a beautiful script for this show that has a ton of humor. We have wonderful characters. We have wonderful male characters. The women get a lot of love in this show, as they should. But it really is a show that has something for everybody, and it just has a lot of heart. This is a show to come to when you want some comfort food.
From Julia, what has surprised you most about Waitress's run on Broadway?
That we're still kicking it. We're 2.5 years on Broadway, happy and healthy. It is beyond what I really, when we got word that we were actually going to get to move to Broadway, I was like, oh dear God, please let us run a full year. Let us just get a fatted calf first year. I don't want to crawl across the finish line. And here we are celebrating our 2nd anniversary, and the love for the show has been absolutely incredible. And we have people coming back to this show 30, 40 times. It's amazing. People really embracing the show and it's a show that I think you want to bring people to. You want to experience Waitress with your friends, your boyfriends, your sisters, your cousin. It almost feels like it's comfort food, this show, I think.
Last question, and of course the most important question of the lot,
Right.
which is from Annie, which is, what is your go-to karaoke musical theatre song?
Well, I have to say, I don't know if this will be a boring answer to you or not, but because I got to do it so recently, it's I Don't Know How to Love Him from Jesus Christ Superstar. One reason is that I grew up on all the Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals. He's just absolutely one of my favorite composers. And The second is that I know all the words, and that's really important to me.
So you can do it whatever state you're in.
Whenever I go.
Yeah, yeah. And I meant state as in drinking state.
Yeah.
Not state.
Wherever I go.
Wherever you go.